Some of the stories of welcome or isolation I have come from my mother. Her first experience of coming to this church was that she came in with two very young children, came in time, had scoped out when the service was, had got here, neat dressed, hat, and had been given a book and then sat down. Only 5 minutes before the start of the service to be told to move because she was sitting in somebody's seat. Now, my mum was a strong character, so she said to them, I didn't realise we had reserved seats in a church. So that person huffed and went away. For my mum, it was a challenge. This is my church. I live on the same road as the church. I'm going to come. And she came again and again and again. Some people spoke to her, some people didn't. Some people were welcoming, some people weren't. I think the fear that was around in the 50s and 60s, especially in areas like this, of black people being seen to be taking over what was traditionally a white experience was within church as well as without. You know, we are in the West Midlands, we are in the River of Blood territory. Those speeches were on the TV in this area. It had an effect in the community and it had an effect in church. And I think for people to say that racism doesn't exist in church is naive. Because most things, I would say everything that exists in the community exists in church. It's just that what you have, or you should have, is a band of people that have Christ at the centre of what they're doing and trying to take their lead from how Christ would behave in that situation. Some people pass the test with flying colours, and some people struggle. The church, I think, didn't know what to do with Black Caribbean congregants at that time. They were a bit paternalistic. They were okay to come, but weren't involved very much. And it would depend very much on the vicar that you had about what sort of roles or responsibilities that you were given. And I think what St John's has been very good at is that it had a string of vicars who worked with the Afro-Caribbean community at that time to give them roles and opportunities to be involved in church life. But it's taken a long time, given the number of Afro-Caribbean and now African families that are part of this church, where people have felt perhaps comfortable to take on the roles of church warden or treasurer or leader of music or doing the count on a Sunday. Those were seen as very particular roles for stalwarts of the church, and by nature those stalwarts would have been people who'd got lots of experience in the Church of England, so necessarily the indigenous community really. You need to understand people, understand their experience, what experience they bring with them. And I think that sometimes we are slow to do that, to talk to people about what their experience of faith has been in the country that they came from. Because actually, when I look at some of our newer members of the congregation, our Black African families, their faith is so strong, so deep, has so much to offer in terms of that testimony as to what faith can do in your life. But you have to give people the opportunity to be able to tell you the story and not just talk about how we do things here. It enriches our experience to have everyone's life story, to have everybody's experience. And it diminishes us as a faith of broad principle to miss out on some of the issues that people are bringing with them. And also the changes they have made whilst they've been here. Because we all change in faith and belief and practice, even within this church. We are in this is now a building that's 41 years old. But prior to this, there's been a church on this site for 200 years. That change from the old traditional building to a new modern building changed the way we worshipped, changed the way we did things, changed the feel of what it was to witness to Christ in this place. But the core remains the same. We are here as a beacon of Christ in this place at this time for the community out there, whether they think they need us or not.